Welcome back to Cheche. We're discussing the politics of Kajiado and the gubernatorial race in particular with our guest, the incumbent governor, Dr. David Ole Ndekianye. Nkedianye, thank you. Okay, my apologies. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Nkedianye, we should have had one of your rivals. We don't. The other person, we're told, is supposed to be your main rival, or at least the main contender for the Jubilee nomination, is the Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku, who said he didn't want to come because he was focusing on the Jubilee nominations on Friday. You must be watching those nominations with keen interest to work out who your opponent will be. Is there anyone you'd prefer to face?
I prefer to face whoever comes.
Of the two?
Yeah, of the two, I mean...
Well, look, there are five.
Actually five.
There are many, but anyone who comes is fine. Yeah.
Why do you think there would be a lot of interest on the Jubilee side for this ticket and no interest on the ODM side? For this ticket?
Yeah.
Now that one of the things you said in your opening statement was probably the seat is too lucrative.
One is that there are many people, seeking powerful positions. The governor position is attracting a lot of people across the country, so it's not just here. Number two, in the Jubilee side, people think that they will be assisted by Jubilee to get, their resources. They will be given money to campaign and all that. So mainly is the backup they expect from Jubilee to do the campaigns and all that. Number three, what I think is that most of these are weak candidates who have nothing to offer, who want to ride on the shoulders of Jubilee as the government, because they have nothing to offer. And that's why they are crowding themselves on that side.
Do you get a sense that there's a preferred candidate on the opposition side? I
have heard over and over again that Olelenku is the preferred candidate. But I know down on the ground there is stiff competition between himself and Kores, and I have seen...
Who should have been here this morning?
Yes, I've seen Kingori also campaigning very hard. I've seen Parantai campaigning. I know Nina is in PNU. So, yeah, they are all competing.
Did you hear about this, I'm not quite sure whether it was a Jubilee strategy, but a strategy to ensure some sort of ethnic balance, of someone from the Maasai community paired with a running mate from the Kikuyu community?
I heard about that, but I don't think it was based on anything, because recently somebody like Olelenku has named a running mate who is a school leaver who just left university the other day. He's barely 30 years.
Are you criticizing? Are you castigating him for that?
And he's from Matapato, so he's not from another community. He's from the same Maasai community. So I do not see that balance being adhered to. Yeah.
When you say a school leaver,
just a school leaver, barely 30 years.
I mean, I am imagining something happening and the governor not being in for a month or two, and a young person who just left college being left to hold the county. I mean, how do we do that? I actually see that as fairly irresponsible on the part of my opponent, because how do you pick such a young person and say that's a deputy governor?
So a young person cannot lead a county?
He can, a young person with experience who has worked in public service or somewhere else and is exposed, but somebody who just left college.
So the issue is experience?
Yeah, it's experience. Yeah, it's not just the age.
So if we're to go down the list, you've just told us who your opponents are rather. If we're to go down the list, why do you think you're better than, say, the cabinet secretary, the former cabinet secretary, Mr. Lenku?
He is very famous for failing. The common denominator, when you mention Lenku, you will get the same response from somebody in Mandera or Kisumu or Kajiado or Nairobi. They will say he failed this country. So he comes with a tag.
And by this you're referring to his time as a...
His time as CS. Yeah, he left. If the president of this country, struggled with him until he let go of him, Why would anybody want to present that failure to Kajiado?
On the other side, there is Koros, who was county council.
Koris.
Yes.
Koris. Yes.
Koris, who was the county council chairman for years.
For years.
And he was in charge of KMC. Compared
the Kenya Meat Commission.
Yes. So if you contrast the two, that is an experienced person.
For 15 years, he was a councillor and also the chairman.
Yes.
For 10 years, he was the chairman of the county council.
Yes.
And what do we remember him for in Kajiado? We remember him for a lot of disappearance of public land and all that, and nothing to show. So, you know, they might come here and beat their drums and blow their trumpets, but what do people remember them for? When Gediaja says he has done 7 polytechnics that were not there, that were dead, and they are up and running now, what do they say? When he says, when I've done all these markets, what do they say? Somebody will say, I tried here, I built a toilet maybe, or, you know, but all the land disappeared during somebody's...
Have you had failures in your life?
Of course.
We're going through the
everybody has had failures.
Why he was a better option, and we were number 2.
I was actually asking because he keeps harping about the failures in the other people.
We can get to that after he's dispatched to a third. Yes, so the third candidate, I believe, was Mr. Kingori.
Kingori.
Yes.
Yeah, Kingori is a rent collector in Kitengela, and we don't know much about him.
What do you mean by rent collector? A landlord?
He's an agent. He collects rent for people. Yeah, so actually he ran last time. He was Nina's running mate last time.
This was...
Nina is the so-called
Livondo.
Livondo.
Yeah, the one who got 95,000 votes. So we are yet to see him in public service. You know, we only know him as a rent collector.
And the other two?
What Livondo?
Livondo used to be a secretary.
Nina, you are calling him?
Yes, he used to be a secretary of a group ranch in Kimana, Kajiado South. So we are yet to see anything much more.
But he was number 2.
County-wide.
He was your number 2.
Yes. Anyone can get votes.
With 95,000.
Including you?
Yes. Anyone can get votes. And you know...
Including you?
Yeah. I mean, we will... I know I have a lot of votes, and I will get more votes than I did last time. Because many people voted for me even without knowing me, because I was not in politics. And now I have worked. In spite of all these problems that I've had, no support from the MCAs and all that, I have stood, I have maintained the peace, I've held the county together, and I have track record. I might not have built heaven, I mean, like some people would have expected within that short time, but I have moved the county from X to Y, and that is why I think I need to be re-elected.
So many people elected you despite not being in politics, and they didn't know much about you.
Yes.
That's likely to happen with the other 2 candidates. One you're saying you don't know much about other than being a rent collector. You don't know much about apart from being a secretary of a group ranch. Somebody getting 95,000.
Yes. What I want to say is that something explains why somebody who was just a group ranch leader would get 95,000 votes. It is because of the voting pattern in Kajiado. We have blocks. Some people have...
this is the hybrid system you were talking about?
Yes, the hybrid system I'm talking about. Some people have loyalty to the party, for example. The Kikuyu, for example, in Kajiado, will tend to vote with Jubilee. And whoever is there, they will vote for him. Of course, I know that this time round, more people from the Kikuyu community will vote for me than they did last time.
Why? Because you think you've proved yourself? Because
I've proved myself. They have seen that I am peaceful, they have seen that I am steady, I'm stable and level-headed, and that I have not plunged the county into any problems. The development problems are there, and they will continue being there.
The question that you asked originally, Charles, and I interrupted you, your failures, because you've talked about your successes. What are the things you wish you'd done better at?
For example, the sewage system. I look forward to working very closely with any development partners, and even going out there to seek support to be able to provide a lot of water for the urban areas, big dams, so that we can support a sewer system. You know, you cannot do a sewer system if you don't have water. So you need a lot of water so that you can have a functioning sewer system. So those are twin things that need to be done in both Rongai, Ngong, that area, and Kitengela. We really need to do that. We need more water, and we need sewer systems.
Those sound like outstanding issues, and not necessarily failures. What did you try, to do, and you failed? You got a kick.
I tried. I really tried to do bigger projects, and I did not succeed because the MCAs just were. I mean, the MCA wave was overwhelming, and they insisted on smaller projects. They insisted on saying every ward must get 40 million shillings. And when you say 40 million shillings times 25, it's $1 billion shillings. Now, 40 million, when they go to the ward, they will say, we want to do a small road here and a classroom here and a borehole here. We missed the bigger projects that would say, let us tarmac Gataka Road in Rongai, for example. It might take 200 million shillings, and once it is done, it connects several wards. But we missed that point, and I feel that was really bad that we didn't do that. But in my next term, God willing, I want to be able to do that.
What is the assessment of Kiserian Dam?
Kiserian Dam is not complete. The way it was done, if you look at the lower side, the bridge is not there. If you look at the water, the way it's being distributed, the system is not working very well because the pressure keeps bursting the pipes as they go down towards Rongai. And again, the catchment area is problematic because of the silt that comes from the catchment area, and also the dirt and the garbage and all that. So that's one thing. We need to do a lot upstream to make sure that we don't have a lot of dirt coming into the dam, and also to see how we distribute the water. The reticulation is not yet properly done.
Our time is running out. That's a fairly technical question. And so before I give you an opportunity to share your last thoughts with us, I'd like to come back to the panelists for your views. We've established that the governor has been working in a hostile environment. Hostile within the Rift Valley, being the only opposition governor, hostile in his own county, facing an assembly majority, an absolute majority assembly that, leaning towards Jubilee. Do you think, given the competition to unseat him and the fact that Jubilee has set its sights on Kajiado, that he stands a chance of coming back, A, without defecting to Jubilee, and B, just on the strength of his performance within this first term? Mutegi, I'll start with you.
I think he stands a big chance, considering the description of the other candidates.
That's his description, though. That's not necessarily the voters' perception.
Well, they are known.
The major two, Renku and
Mr. Kores,
they have issues. And therefore, as we said before, we voted for him without knowing him. And now he is known, and his record is known. I'm not campaigning for him, but I think he stands a big chance of winning because of that environment. But what I don't understand what he says is that the people in Kajiado are going more towards ODM. Why do you think so?
We're running out of time. I'll allow you to respond to that as you wind up. Charles?
Despite the onslaught by Jubilee, I think one lucky bet for Dr. Nkedenya is the fact that this is a general election and not a by-election. So much as Jubilee will want to put an onslaught, they are scattered across the 47 counties, the over 290 constituency, etc., etc. He starts from a favorable position, being known this time more than before. If what he is saying is true, I am not a resident of Kajiado, I wouldn't know much. But if what he's saying is true, and considering the kind of assembly that he had, I think he's tried. But one thing that I want to say without batting an eyelid or without any shadow of doubt, I think it's good to have people go to school and put people who have gone to school in leadership positions. They quite articulate issues.
Okay. Several of our viewers have shared similar sentiments. There's a lot of support coming in from our viewers for you. I won't go into that then. You can catch up with them on social media. A question from Mutegi. Why do you think that Kajiado will go ODM this time? But also your final thoughts. there seem to be favorable assessments of your worth. We think that, the panelists think that you will get in again. How confident are you of your re-election?
I'm very confident because, one, I am not controversial. I've not made enemies.
The margin you told us in the last election was 30,000 votes.
30,000.
By how much do you think you'll win this time?
I see a margin of not less than 50,000 between me and my closest opponent. Yes. And I see my competitors as people who are very well known. Chorus is very well known across the county, and Lenku is known across the country and very well in the county. I will beat them even in their own backyards. Where Lenku comes from, I have more votes than he does, and it's because people know his track record. And I know the people of Kajiado are watching, and they are looking at these track records, and they are saying, actually, if Daktari got more MCAs who can support him to bring to fruition his ideas, we would see more progress. But how do we explain somebody? Just imagine if the president of this country did not have MPs to support him. It would be very difficult. I've gone through a very difficult situation, but I've managed. And somehow I've worked with 190 and I've made progress. And I want to ask the people of Kajiado County to not think in terms of parties or think in terms of plans, but to look at a leader and say who has what it takes to be a leader, who is stable, who understands issues, and who is the person we can rely on.
You say that having earlier said that you think that Kajiado is leaning towards ODM.
Yes, there's a wave. There's a wave that is running across speaking counties. Look at Samburu, it's leaning towards the opposition more. Look at Narok, it is almost all is moving towards opposition. And Kajiado is the same. It might not be as much as Narok, but it is leaning more towards ODM now than it did in 2013.
Reason?
Well, we'll see.
The reason is a number of things. Is if you look at what Jubilee has done, for example, in Kajiado, what one major project have they done? We had a promise of the Mashuru Road to be tarmacked. It is 4.5 years down the road, it has not been tarmacked. What do they have to place on the table? And people are saying, why should we vote for Jubilee? Even the map-speaking people. When there is drought, when there is in Samburu, when you look at what they did with shooting cattle and all that, and people are so annoyed with that kind of thing.
Well, we'll have to see whether your analysis is reflected in August once people have voted. But
yes,
we will thank you
God
very
willing.
much for your time on Cheche this morning. We will also wish you the very best of luck in the election. If we had a Jubilee aspirant here,
you didn't let me talk about nominations yesterday in Kajiado.
That may the best person win. We are out of time. We will have some time for that. So thank you very much, Governor. As I say, the best of luck. We're out of time. Catch up with us on social media. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.